This is an EWTN News Link. I'm Tom Price. The daughter of imprisoned entrepreneur and Catholic activist Jimmy Lai spoke out for the first time ahead of her father's 78th birthday. In an interview with EWTN News, Claire Lai said, "As a daughter, every day I wake up and I hope that today is the day we get my dad back home, the day we get to go to Mass together or to eat dinner around the table, things that years ago I almost took for granted." Jimmy Lai was arrested in 2020 in Hong Kong. His trial lasted nearly 2 years with allegations of colluding with foreign forces. It ended in August. Jimmy Lai continues to wait for the verdict in prison. His daughter says he faces inhumane living conditions and is denied the Eucharist. For more news with a Catholic perspective, visit EWTNnews.com. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie starts now.
Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani, and this is your show. Jerry will be joining us shortly, and I really need to hear from you because this is a really, I think, a fun but enlightening topic we're going to be talking about today, and that is if you could be one biblical figure, who would you be? So pick a biblical figure and share with the world what person you would be. Okay. Also, too, yesterday we had an abundance of calls, and I invited especially Gloria from California to call back and finish her story because I felt so badly that we got cut off with time. And Gloria is calling in, so I'm so grateful to her because I prayed all last night that she would call back. I felt terrible about it, so she's going to share her story. And that's yesterday was about the Blessed Mother, obviously with the Immaculate Conception. Today is the feast of Saint Juan Diego, which is so incredible. In fact, this whole week is really revolves around the Blessed Mother. So it's wonderful to be talking about these stories where we are impacted by the Blessed Mother and also the biblical figures that we read about. And that's what we're talking about today. If you could be one of those biblical characters, who would you be? Okay. And the number to dial is 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986 on this feast of St. Juan Diego. I actually go, the parish I go to is St. Juan Diego. So I really love this week. And I have to tell you, last night my husband went to Mass in the morning. I went to Mass in the evening because of the radio shows. And when I was so excited when I was pulling into the parking lot, it was packed in the church. At the church parking lot, outside in the vestibule area, in the actual main part of the church, it was packed. And what was so beautiful is it was 10 minutes before Mass, and families were actually running. I'm not joking. I've never seen this before. They were running towards the church going, hurry, we got to get there. Our Lady's waiting. And it was just so beautiful the way you could feel the love they had for Our Lady. It was incredible. And they were running into Mass. And I've never seen that before. I thought, wow, something has definitely changed in this world. It's incredible. So it was so beautiful to see standing room only all the way out into the patio area of the church. It was incredible. And everybody was there worshiping together as the people of God, and how beautiful that is on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. So that was our show yesterday. We had jam-packed lines. That was great. Gloria is waiting to get on. She's going to finish her story. Let me give the number. Today is about biblical characters. Which one would you be? Who would you want to be? 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. Don't have to be Catholic to call in. Everybody's welcome. We have Vanessa on the controls today doing a fine job. Matt on the phones and Rich on social media. I'm waving to you. Jerry will join us shortly. Let's get to Gloria right now because I want to have her recap a little bit from yesterday, and I want her to finish her story and I want to give her ample time because she waited most of the show to be on yesterday. So Gloria from Los Angeles, California on the EWTN app. Thank you so much for calling back. I prayed all last night. I said, I pray Gloria calls back because I felt so badly. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you.
You go right ahead.
Thank you.
You have plenty of time now, and if we have to hold you through the break, you can stay with us. You have plenty of time. You go right ahead and please tell your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, I was calling yesterday because I wanted to honor our Blessed Mother for what she has done for me. About 20 years ago, I lost a 30-year-old son suddenly of a heart attack. And, of course, it was a shock, and because it was so sudden, unexpected. And I felt very guilty. My prayers then changed to, there were just questions to the Lord. Why? Why did this happen? Why did you take my beautiful son, precious son, away from me? And I felt like the Lord was punishing me for something I had done. So I had this guilt for the longest time. It was years. Until one, I believe it was maybe Easter time, it was Good Friday in church. And someone said something like, can you imagine what the Blessed Mother was feeling at the foot of that cross, just being up and watching her son bleeding to death? Just, there was nothing she could do. There was no way they would let her get near him or help him. And she just there watching him. And someone said, could you imagine the pain she was in? And I had been in pain. I'm sorry?
No, you go right ahead. I'm welling up with tears. I can't. Go right ahead. Keep going, Gloria.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just felt that, pardon me, I knew that pain that the Blessed Mother was in. I felt like yelling and saying, I know that pain. I'm in it now. I know exactly. Of course, I wouldn't dare compare myself with Blessed Mother at all, but I felt like I knew what she was suffering, and I wanted so badly. I wish that I could have been there to hug her and comfort her, so that actually I felt like I would get comforted also, that we would cry on each other's shoulder, because that pain is it's indescribable. And so the Blessed Mother somehow changed my prayer, not to a why anymore. It was, thank you, dear Lord. She made me see that it was not a punishment to take my son away from me. Mm-hmm. It was a gift that the Lord had given me when that child was born. He was such a beautiful, precious son. And the Lord actually gave me a gift. And I'm so thankful that he gave me, even for that short time. He let that beautiful, precious boy come into my life and my family's life. And he made such a difference. He was a special person. Mm-hmm. And, of course, he was too young to die. But suddenly the Blessed Mother.
Gloria, can you hold it right there, please? I'm so sorry. The music just came in right on cue. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Let's continue this because we want to honor your son today and this beautiful story of you getting close to the Blessed Mother. Please stay with us. Everyone else, please call in. This is your show today.
On the next Beacon of Truth, continuing our Honoring Parents Who Don't Deserve It and Soulful Psalm 106.
I'm Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, and I invite you to join me for Beacon of Truth.
This is a Messy Family Minute with Mike and Alicia Hernan. 3 years ago, we became grandparents, and it's just as wonderful as everyone told us it would be. We are blessed to have the love of 5 grandchildren, and we look forward to many more.
Grandparents are a blessing to children because they have a different perspective on life in general. We can usually see the problems that toddlers or teenagers have with different eyes than their parents. We have more time to pray for them and more time to serve. Our very lives dedicated to God and to our vocation is a witness to the joy of living the gospel. But what is the role of a grandparent in the life of a grandchild?
The best thing a grandparent can do is boldly love. Love your grandchildren deeply, and by doing so, you will be an image of God's love for them. Love your adult children by supporting them, even if they choose to raise their children differently than you raised them. Parents are the most powerful influence in the life of a child, and you, as a grandparent, need to build up that relationship between your child and your grandchild. For more inspiration and encouragement, visit us at messyfamilyminute.org.
Grow closer to God every day with your free 2026 EWTN calendar with inspiring images that reflect the bold vision of our foundress, Mother Angelica. It's available at EWTN.com/calendar.
Spreading the good news of salvation.
This is EWTN Radio.
We're talking today about biblical characters, biblical figures that you admire, that you look up to, that you maybe would want to be. So if you could be one biblical figure, biblical character in the Bible, who would you be? Please call in 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. Tom, hang on. You're going to be after Gloria. We have room for you if you'd like to call in. Think about it for a moment. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. We are speaking with Gloria in California, who's sharing her beautiful story about her 30-year-old son that she lost suddenly 20 years ago from a heart attack. But she was learning how it spiritually transformed her. She saw a different understanding of all of this, of being a parent and having a child and what it means for loss, and aligning that loss and that pain with the Blessed Mother and the loss that she felt when she was at the foot of the cross. It is really a powerful testimony, and I want to continue with Gloria in just a moment. But let me just remind everybody quickly, talking about Our Lady, there's a novena to the Mother of God for our nation. Novena to the Mother of God for the nation provides prayer that challenges us to a deeper conversion to Christ and a more generous life of charity. With these intentions in mind, we will turn to Mary and meditate on the graces of her life. It's available at EWTN.com/novena. Gloria, thank you for waiting through the break. I'm so glad you hung on. And before, I want you to continue, and I want to just make a quick comment. But before you do, I brought the prayer book out. Can you give us your son's first name? Because we pray for the living and the deceased.
Yes, thank you. His name is Mark.
Mark, okay. And was he your only child, Gloria?
No, he was my only son.
Your only son.
I have two daughters.
Okay, you have two daughters. And like I said, when the show ran out yesterday, Gloria, no parent should have to bury their child. But what I think you learned and what you grew through with all of this, sadness and loss of your precious son. And I could tell by the way you were talking, he sounds pretty remarkable. What you gained spiritually. And so since the passing of your son 20 years ago, have you remained close to the Blessed Mother? I'm curious because usually people that find this kind of, if you will, enlightenment or awakening or an understanding or a depth of getting closer to Our Lady and our Lord, it usually continues to grow. Has that continued over the years?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Very much so. I used to think that the Blessed Mother is just someone we prayed the rosary to, just someone you prayed the rosary to. But I learned through this that she is my mother. She is our mother, our Blessed Mother. She is the most the kindest, most loving mother we can't imagine. We can only feel it. It's hard to describe, but we can only feel her love through something that comes to you. She lets us know that when we need to know it. Mm-hmm. But my devotion to her has grown. I see her now as if she were a person. She was alive here, and she's part of me, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So before we let you go, I wanted to thank you again for calling back. You may or may not have been aware of this, and a lot of people I know have heard parts of this, but not the whole message. I don't know if you've ever read, and that we have it on EWTN. You can just go to EWTN and type in what did the Virgin Mary say to St. Juan Diego. But I don't know if you ever heard exactly what she said, and it goes so much in line with what you just shared about the Blessed Mother. And if I may, I know I shared it earlier this morning when I was on the morning show, but I wanted to share it again. It's very powerful, and it really relates to all of us. Now, obviously, the Blessed Mother was talking to St. Juan Diego, but we can put ourselves right in that, in what she said. But I wanted you to hear this, Gloria, and see if you relate to this. When the Blessed Mother appeared in 1531 to Juan Diego at Tepeyac Hill, this is what she said: "My son, I love you. I desire you to know who I am. I am the ever Virgin Mary, Mother of the true God, who gives life and maintains its existence. He created all things. He is in all places. He is Lord of heaven and earth, and I desire a church in this place where your people may experience my compassion." Now, here's so much how we can relate to her. "All those who sincerely ask for my help in their work and in their sorrows will know their mother's near this place. Here I will see their fears, and I will console men, and they will be at peace." And then she goes on to say, and this is so much for us, "Know for certain that I am the perfect and ever Virgin Mary, Mother of the true God. Here I will show and offer all my love, my compassion, my help and protection. I am your merciful mother, the mother of all who love me, of those who cry to me, of those who have confidence in me. I will hear their weeping and their sorrows, their necessities and misfortunes. I will listen and let it penetrate your heart. Do not fear any illness or vexation, anguish or pain." And then she goes on with the famous line, "Am I not here who am your mother?" And then she continues, "Are you not under my shadow and protection? Am I not your fountain of life? Are you not in the folds of the mantle, in the crossing of the arms? Is there anything else you need?" You know, I was thinking about this morning, Gloria. She said this in 1531, and it is relevant. It is important to us today. And it sounds like you have run to Our Lady. You get it. You have grown and she has totally been compassionate and can relate to what you've gone through with losing Mark when she lost her son, right? So the two of you are really close. And I just wanted to just confirm what you're saying and how important it is that we bring our Heavenly Mother into our spiritual life to help us get through anything that is really going to bring us down. And the loss of a child, that can surely take us down. Anything you want to say to that, Gloria? I don't know if you've ever heard of the full message that she gave to St. Juan Diego.
Not the full message, but I heard some of it. But that was beautiful. That was just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
we have to think of her as real. She is real. You know, I don't know how to explain that. It's just something that
mm-hmm.
I guess you have to experience it personally.
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of her. It's our spiritual mother. She's there for us individually as our spiritual mother, the way she is with you. And then she's with us together as we are all together, a collective. We are her children. And the beauty of her work that she does with us and her care and her compassion and the fact that anything we fear, it says here, you know, do not fear any illness, anguish, pain, sorrow, anything. Because as our mother, she's there for us to really help us get through it. Gloria, I'm so grateful to you that you called back. And again, you know, our hearts, I started welling up because I have two sons, and I tell you, to think of losing one, it started to make me shake. And I will tell you, Gloria, you have to be a strong woman and a strong mother to be able to endure that. So I just wanted to say, again, we're grateful to you that you called back. Thank you for trusting us with this beautiful story. We have Mark in the prayer book. And it is a beautiful story because you have grown so much closer. And you have to imagine if Mark is allowed to hear his mother talk about him around the world, that you are speaking so highly of him. I mean, it's so beautiful. You have to imagine all of heaven is smiling this today.
Thank you, Debbie, so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Call us anytime. And God bless you and have a beautiful rest of your Advent. Many blessings to you and your family. Thank you. And I wanted to say hello to Jerry. Jerry, are you with us? Okay, so we're connecting with Jerry right now. We'll bring him on shortly because I wanted to see if he had any comments about this incredible story from Gloria, and we thank you again. Okay, we're going to move to Tom, and we're talking about biblical characters, biblical figures that you would maybe want to be, or you're interested in, or you find intriguing. And Tom from Lake Forest, Illinois, on Sirius XM 130, Tom has a favorite biblical character. Tom, take it away. Welcome.
Hi, folks. Merry Christmas, and God bless us, all of us.
Thank you. Thank you. You go right ahead.
That story from Gloria, oh my gosh.
I know. Wasn't it
that
amazing?
That is so off the scale.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Gloria, for sharing that.
Yeah. You know what I found so beautiful with Gloria is that, she went through all the emotions, right? The sadness, the sorrow, going, why, God, am I being punished? But then she was able to get this bright light that was able to pierce her, to penetrate her heart, just like Our Lady said to Juan Diego. Listen to all these things and let it penetrate your heart. She says this right in the message to Juan Diego. I will hear you when you're weeping and your sorrows, the necessities and the misfortunes. Listen and let it penetrate your heart. I mean, that's exactly what she did. What an incredible mother to be able to take that to the next spiritual level. I agree with you, Tom. Thank you for sharing. I hope Gloria is still listening. So you go right ahead. Finish. Tell us the biblical character you want to highlight today.
Everybody in the church, or even our separated Protestant brethren and all that, because that packs more punch than a W83. Mm-hmm. Look it up what that is. But anyway, my favorite biblical character, about 30-some years ago, I was still all over the map Protestant, and I went to this huge church outside of Chicago. And the summer theme was the prophet Elijah. And it says in the book of Kings, he was a man just like us. Not to put down the other prophets. I mean, Elijah and Jeremiah got murdered, I believe, for standing up and prophesying for the sake of the Lord. But Elijah was this normal guy who got picked for the craziest, most irrational kamikaze mission of any prophet. Go to Ahab and Jezebel, who had reinstituted all the evil practices that other prophets had railed against so vociferously, and says, all right, the Lord God is sick and tired of your abominations. No rain for 3 years. And then he goes up to Mount Carmel and says, okay, 850 of you versus one of me. Let's make these two sacrifices. You guys call on your gods, I'll call on mine. The one that responds, that's the winner. So there are these prophets dancing around this altar, cutting themselves with swords and spears and screaming like maniacs, and nothing happens. And then Elijah gets up and says, Lord, you know what's going on. Make yourself manifest. And the whole thing disappears in a giant flash of flame. Mm-hmm. All the prophets of those false gods get massacred. And you would think Ahab and Jezebel would, wow, I think we better get our act together here. Instead, they take a contract out on Elijah. He runs out in the desert for 40 days, and he hits bottom. And he says, Lord, I've had enough. I'm sick and tired of living. Pull the trigger on me. God didn't do that. He restored him. He kept his ministry going. And then Elijah became one of only one other human being in history, as recorded in the scriptures. Enoch and Elijah never tasted death. God snapped them up into heaven, and that was that.
Wow, you know your story. That is amazing. Well done, Tom. I love that. You got that. That really kept me interested. I want to hear. I know Jerry just signed in with us. Jerry, are you with us? Did you hear Tom's story about Elijah?
I did. Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. I've always loved that story.
Me too.
And, it goes to show, what do they say? God plus one is an army. and with the Lord, he is always on our side, and he certainly was with Elijah in that situation. So, yeah, I've always loved that account.
Yeah, and you know what I love, Tom, the way you shared it with us. You had such a connection and an enthusiasm behind it, especially when you said, and he did not die. I mean, you were just so passionate about it. I love that. Were you always interested in the Elijah story, or is it something that you just stumbled on and you were like, wow, this is really cool?
This came in back in the 1980s. Now, here's a real crazy thing. When I was much younger and a stone atheist, my favorite saint was Joan of Arc. I mean, there's another, mission impossible, so to speak.
Right.
Rally the French people against the British and throw them out. And the 100 Years' War, read Barbara Tuchman's book, The Distant Mirror, The Calamitous 14th Century. Barbara Tuchman was a historian who got the Pulitzer Prize for her book, The Guns of August, about the beginnings of the First World War. And this is a medieval history about the 14th century, the Black Plague, the end of the Crusades, the 100 Years' War, all that stuff. I mean, it was a hideous time to be alive. And yet, like I said, when I was a stone atheist, I thought Joan of Arc was the greatest thing in the world. So maybe that's one little thin strand of Kevlar that the Lord had attached to me and wasn't going to let it break no matter what.
Well, I think it goes to show, Tom, that, we're all drawn to strong characters, male, female characters. Even if you weren't a believer at the time, and yet here you looked at a great Catholic saint as someone who really inspired you. So thanks for your contribution to the conversation today. Christina is coming up. Then we have Lydia. We're talking about if you could be a Bible character, which one would you choose to be? Maybe during their life now, or you could kind of relive that. 833-288-EWTN. 833-288-3986. We'll be right back.
On the next Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo.
As we say in Radioland, don't touch that dial. Hi, it's Teresa Tomeo, and what a blessing it is for me to speak to you every morning on EWTN Global Catholic Radio, bringing you the latest news, important interviews on all that's happening in the church and the world, and all of this from a truly Catholic perspective. See you on Catholic Radio.
Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo, weekday mornings 9 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Remember that old thing of years ago, Abbott and Costello? He wanted to know about baseball. And he says, who's on first? He said, no, who's on third? He said, what's on third? I told you, who's on third? No, I want to know who's on first. He said, I just told you who's on third. And we went around and around. It was hysterical. But we do that in our daily lives. We're looking for God. It is right here. A lot of people look for Jesus. They look for God. And some people are afraid of God. Never, never, never be afraid of God. All you in grave sin, listening to me, especially you who've had abortions and other kind of sins, don't be afraid of God.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
Journey deeper in your understanding of the Eucharistic mystery and the Eucharistic story of God's love for us. Download the free ebook, The 12 Stations of the Most Holy Eucharist, at EWTN.com/Catholicism.
Hi, this is Cy Kellett. Join us later today on Catholic Answers Live as we do our best to explain and defend the Catholic faith. Catholic Answers Live, 6 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Thanks so much for listening. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you on EWTN Radio. I am Jerry Usher, and Debbie Georgiani is with me, and we have more calls we're going to get to here momentarily. We invite you to join us if you could be any biblical character, Old Testament, New Testament. Who would that be? A male, a female, a great saint, maybe someone who struggled to do the will of God but overcame great challenges. Maybe it was one of the Holy Family. 833-288 EWTN, 833-288-3986. And before we go back to the calls, I want to congratulate two more EWTN radio partners. Sports Faith International, serving Northern Illinois with 2 stations, is celebrating 12 years with us this week. And KYRE 104.1 in Mansfield, Texas, celebrates 11 years. Congratulations to Angela Tomlinson and her team at Sports Faith International, and Joel Rodriguez and his team at St. Jude Catholic Church, from your friends here at EWTN.
Okay, so if you could be one biblical figure, who would you be? Please call in. You don't have to be Catholic. We'd love to hear from you. 833-288-EWTN. Again, that's 833-288-3986. Matt is ready to answer your call. We're going to go to Christina Jerry in Dallas, Texas, on our friends at Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Christina. Tell us what character you would be.
Oh, I love that story in the Bible where Jesus healed the 10 lepers and only one came back to thank him, the Samaritan. And I want to be that Samaritan.
Aww.
I want to be that one. Because but the joy, you can just imagine that he felt. I want to just come back and praise God and just the thankfulness.
I love that. I never would have thought of that. That is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just really... That just hit me as soon as you said, what would you be? I never thought before. Which character would I be in the Bible? And the other thing I wanted to say, what you said this morning, Debbie, about St. Juan Diego. My husband and I only had 3 children initially, and I was really closed off to having any more. And I had a conversion experience. And then I had 2 more children after age 40. And today is the birthday of the child who's turning 24. When I was 40, and I desperately wanted him to be born on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, and we missed it. But then I just found out in the past year that no, historically the Feast of the Immaculate Conception was on December 9th, and when she appeared to St. Juan Diego back in 1531, it was celebrated on December 9th back then. So she appeared to him on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception.
Wow. And then you just heard me read the entire message of when she appeared, which a lot of people don't go into, which I hope that folks do, especially today with this being an important day for you and your family with your son's birthday. I put him in the book. Can you give us his first name? Happy birthday to him.
Oh, yes, please pray for him. His name is Carl Antonio, and he just joined the Marines, and he just finished the first school, and he's on to the next training. And oh my gosh, my husband and I served in the Air Force. Our parents served in the Army. My brother was in the Navy, but this Marine thing has blown my mind. I had no idea what it is and what they go through. And
that's beautiful.
I am just near tears because of these young men who are willing to give their lives for our country.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very brave. Very brave. God is raising and folks are rising up that are they have a strong interior core. You can feel it if you live long enough, you can see it, and that this younger generation is coming in very strong. And so we're very blessed, and you're blessed with that with your son. Please thank him for looking into the military and wanting to join. That is huge. I have a lot of Marines in my family, so we're very proud of the Marines.
A funny story about St. Juan Diego. So when he was 8, he wanted to have Juan Diego on his birthday cake. And then I said, should we get you a piñata? What do you want? He said, the Blessed Virgin Mary. That's a piñata. I was like, no.
Yeah. Well, just a quick comment, Christina, from me. I love your heart, and it just shows what a deep heart of gratitude that you have. And it's a great witness, a great testimony to all of us, that you said you would want to be the biblical character, the one leper out of the 10 who were cleansed that went back and thanked Jesus. And I think you alluded to how happy that would have made Jesus too, because he does all kinds of things for us. And I know I'll be the first one to admit, I let so many blessings pass without really recognizing them or thanking Jesus for them. But I'm going to take away your call and your comment today and really ponder and meditate on this, because I know I need to be more grateful in my life. So you've really done a favor for a lot of us here on the program.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Yes,
thanks.
beautiful. So I have to tell you, when I was thinking about biblical characters, I really thought I wanted to be like, I thought Mary Magdalene. How cool would it be to travel with Jesus, to be part of his ministry, to be the first to announce, the resurrection, to be there so closely with Jesus? But then she had a rough start in the beginning before she before she started, really walking and traveling with Jesus. So I thought, okay, maybe not. Then I thought Elizabeth. You know why? Because how cool would it be to be Elizabeth, right? And to be a relative, obviously the connection with obviously John the Baptist, right? But here's the cool part. You make it into the rosary because Elizabeth's in the rosary. So do you ever think of that? Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
So how about for you? Biblical character for you?
Well, I was thinking a lot about this. I think King David, and a lot of people would probably relate to him, just because, I want to have a heart after God. I want to be a man after God's own heart, I should say, as King David was. And, I want my sins and mistakes to not, be the things that define me, but the obedience to God and the faithfulness and just all of the Psalms that he gave us and the great leadership of the people of God. So I think somebody like King David, because, it's not just a story about virtue. There's a little bit of vice thrown in there, and, so all those things we can relate to. So
Right. It's so interesting you said that, because initially I thought of David too, because my husband and I binged watched the 2 seasons of The House of David. Did you see it?
No,
Amazing.
I didn't.
Amazing. Now, I will tell you, it's not theologically completely accurate. It's not, but it is incredible. It really gets you to fall in love with the biblical character of King David. Amazing. So yeah, I would agree with you, Jerry. And yeah, it's just fascinating. Now, of course, we're getting some messages, how come you're not mentioning Jesus and Mary? Well, of course, the biblical characters, Jesus and Mary, of course, that's an obvious. So we're talking about the other characters in the Bible. Okay, so Jerry, let's go to Lydia in Midland, Texas on Guadalupe Radio Network. Welcome back, Lydia.
How you doing? Good morning. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
I just want to say that I love angels. And I would love to be Angel Raphael, to go around the world healing people and holding their hands when they're sick, not feeling good. And I hope one day I can be a helper, because I really would love to do that.
Wow.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, what's beautiful, Lydia, is we can actually do that right now. And God gives us all the opportunity, gives us opportunities every day, I think, to be healers, to be people, to be messengers like the angels were and are, to be messengers of God's good news and of God's healing. So I think we can do that. And you're the type of person who I know is doing that, Deb.
I totally agree. And Lydia, you remind me when Padre Pio, you remember before Padre Pio died, he made the comment that he could do so much more on the other side. His work would really begin. A lot of saints said that, because there's just so much we feel like we can do here. But in all honesty, Lydia, every time we show up, every time we are faithful, every time we talk about God like you're doing right now, we are doing the work that God wants us to do. And so it may seem small. It may even seem sometimes insignificant, but it's not. It's not. It's all part of the plan. So I agree with Jerry. You're doing it right now, Lydia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're so sweet. Because everywhere I go, I always tell people, Jesus is with you. God is with you. The angels are with you. All you have to do is stay close to the church, and you have it all together. But don't give up, because that mean old devil wants you not to have faith. And you got to tell the devil, and just say a prayer. Just say, God help me, Jesus help me, and the devil take off running.
That's right. That's right. Lydia, you're awesome. Thank you so much for gracing this conversation today and adding to it. That was just beautiful. You know how I feel about anybody that adds and they mention the angels. It just warms my heart. Yeah.
Well, we got time. We got several more on the line, but we got a line open here. Time for you to get on this discussion today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. If you could be any character in the Bible, who would that be? If you could have gone back and been that person and played that role, 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. All right, let's talk to John in Chicago, watching the video on YouTube today. Hi, John. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Jerry. Hi, Debbie. It's so good to see you. I was thinking when I heard the topic today, and it surprised me what characters that I would want to be from the Bible. And they're actually women. Not that I want to be a woman, but I like the characters.
Right, right.
There was one where, and I don't think either of these ladies had names in the scripture. There was one where a lady was ill and said, the gist of the story is, I'll be healed if all I can do is touch his cloak.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a crowd. Jesus was surrounded by people, and she was able to touch him, and he immediately knew who touched me. And she was healed because she, had enough faith to even try to ask, even without words. And he healed her. The other one was when the woman was ready to be stoned because she was committing adultery. She was a sinful woman. And the famous quote from the story is, "It's nobody here to judge you. Let he without sin cast the first stone." And Jesus said, they don't accuse you, and I don't accuse you. Don't go forth and don't sin anymore. He forgave her.
Yeah.
And I want him to do that with me.
Amen. Yeah,
I love
do
that.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we get it, John. I mean, I thought of David too, but I mean, obviously, I don't want to be a guy, and I thought of David just from what they exhibited, what they modeled for us. Their faith, their courage, their strength, their faithfulness, and I agree with you, John. But again, both those women in the Bible, they had pretty rough lives. They started off in a rough way, which I know that so many of us can relate to. But that's one of the reasons why I kind of shelved Mary Magdalene. I thought I was a little too hard of a start. And I certainly don't want to be like beheaded or anything like that. So that wouldn't work for a Bible figure. But what do you say to all that, Jerry? Because I totally agree. The woman that was hemorrhaging, I mean, to touch his garment, and it was her faith that healed her. I mean, these are powerful, remarkable stories of incredible depths of faith that people in the Bible have had, and they're real stories.
Yeah, just the story of the woman touching the hem of Jesus' garment. Sometimes we think it has to be this dramatic, come to Jesus thing, and Lord Jesus, I'm sick or I'm ill or I need a healing in this area of my life. And, but all we have to do is just get close enough to him, just to touch his clothing, and that's Jesus is willing to impart great miracles, great healings, even if we just show that amount of faith. And the woman caught in adultery, I love that because, in the Old Testament, the Mosaic law, she would have been stoned to death. And I love it, what you said, John, Jesus says, neither do I condemn you. Those are words to put on your tombstone, maybe, your grave marker. Neither do I condemn you. Those would be beautiful words from our Lord to hear. So, yeah.
John, anything else you want to share with us?
Just another thought that occurred. My favorite Bible story is the wedding feast at Cana, where
Me too.
Jesus listened to his mother, and she can help with such a minor problem, having wine run out, and then he converts and makes it the best. That makes me want to pray to Mary so much more if she has that influence in something in that small way, and he helps her. How wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I think we're hearing a theme, in many of these calls today, and that is the humanness, the humanity of all of us, the weakness, the sinfulness, and so forth, combined with God's grace and mercy to raise us up above that. And so, we are definitely inspired by these biblical characters. And John, that was a great contribution to the show, brother. We appreciate you joining us here on Take Two today. I'm going to just mention something real quick here, Deb, if you don't mind, and then we'll get back to it.
Absolutely, you go right ahead. And then would you please read Oscar's? And we got to wave to Oscar on YouTube.
Yeah,
He has a contribution to the discussion.
Well, EWTN's Podcast Central, a lot of us like to listen to podcasts, especially when it comes to our faith, and there are many of them out there, and they're all located in one great place, EWTN's Podcast Central. And another one is called Anchored in Hope. It's a weekly podcast devoted to bringing hope through the good news of Jesus Christ. Father Larry Richards helps you discover the reason for your hope. And you can hear this and other faith-filled podcasts from our friends and affiliates around the world at EWTN's Podcast Central. Just visit EWTN.com/podcasts today. And yes, Oscar is watching on YouTube along with a lot of other great folks there. Oscar says, now if I were to embody a biblical figure, I would identify with St. Peter. His journey from a simple fisherman to a prominent apostle, marked by both unwavering faith and human fallibility. His leadership and pivotal role in the early church, the early Christian church, demonstrate a profound commitment to spiritual guidance. So there's another example.
That was well
Deb.
said, Oscar. That was amazing.
But
that
yet
really
another
captured
example of the Jesus choosing the weak and making them strong.
Do you know what you were saying earlier about the theme, the underlying theme? I think we're all trying to be accepted. You know, we know that we've made mistakes in our past. We know we don't want to be defined by that. You said it so beautifully earlier in the show, Jerry. And I think that's the beauty of these biblical characters, that they have shown that they didn't come from these perfect, holy or just so holy existence, and then they were elevated. No, they were like us. They made mistakes. They did sinful things. They did silly, stupid things, and they did harmful things to themselves. But God raised them up because in the interior of them, He saw something, that they were willing to die for this cause, like St. Peter and the other apostles. I mean, it's pretty amazing when you look at the biblical characters. I don't know if we spend enough time really diving in, so I'm so happy, Jerry, that you put this on the calendar.
Well, and so we tend to look at these men and women and we say, yeah, they were sinful, but look at what happened to them. Well, yeah, we can say, yeah, but look what can happen to us as well. We sometimes get kind of mired in our own sins and down on ourselves and thinking, God can't use me, He can't use me for any great purposes or plans, but He does. He has a great plan and a purpose for every one of our lives.
I love that.
And it's one that only can be filled by each one of us individually. So,
Amen to that. So let's hear what Carol has to say from northeastern Pennsylvania on the EWTN app. Hi, Carol.
Hi. Well, I have a lot of favorite people in the Bible, but Esther's one of my main favorites. She is just so awesome. She was so brave, and she was not ashamed to be Jewish. I just admire her so much.
Oh, yeah. Great character to pick. What do you say about Esther?
Well, I remember, Esther is where, the book of the Bible where it says, for such a time as this, she was raised up for such a time as this. And again, getting back to the purpose and the plan that God has for each one of our lives, Carol, glad you brought up this Esther, and we know of the book of Esther in the Bible, because every one of us, we can think about, it would have been great to have been alive, like we're talking about today, a biblical character in, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago. But God has us here for a purpose right here, right now, for such a time as this. And we can certainly take the example of Esther and all these other biblical characters that we're hearing about today as good inspirations and motivations for all of us to really seek the Lord's purpose and plan for our life and to live that out as robustly as we can.
Mm-hmm. What do you say, Carol?
It's wonderful to call in, and I enjoy the topics. I really do, but this one was one I really had to comment on because it's just so wonderful to know that people will stand up for what they believe in no matter what, and that's what she did.
Yeah, she did. And, that's what we're all called to do, and we can do that. We somehow, a lot of times we think that we're not going to be able to persevere in God's call, but it is all His grace, His divine grace that helps us be able to do that. So thank you, Carol. Appreciate you participating in the conversation today. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, talking today about if you could be any biblical character, who would that be?
Mm-hmm. And Cheryl on YouTube said, I would truly love to be Monica, the person that tried to give Jesus a drink of water on the road to Calvary.
Okay.
Wow, beautiful.
Let's
we have to wave to Cheryl.
Yeah, okay, Cheryl.
Okay.
We're going to go to Patricia in Daytona Beach, Florida, where I have my home parish of the Basilica of St. Paul. Patricia listening on Sirius XM 130 today. Hi, Patricia.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You
Good.
would like me to go ahead and mention my favorite biblical character and one I'd like to emulate. And I would say the saints in the Bible. One that's not mentioned in the Bible but is an important saint, as well as Mary, giving me this wonderful example of being there for those that are mentally ill. St. Daphne, and I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. Sorry about that. I'm in my car. Don't know if I'm saying her name correctly.
You mean Saint Dymphna?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Okay, there you go.
And her father was mentally ill, and he ended up martyring her, and she is a saint for those who are mentally ill. And I think often in our society we are not looking at someone with mental illness as having a real illness. We think it's in their control, whereas the truth is it's a chemical imbalance of the brain, and it's not in somebody's control. You can't just say to somebody, stop doing that, because it's not something they can stop themselves. They need help. They need medical intervention. And I think it's really important for our society today, especially when suicide rates are so high, and I lost my daughter to suicide, that we look at these suffering people. And I know Mary walked with my Sarah, my daughter, so often during her times of pain and suffering. And looking at these people who are suffering as truly suffering, that it's not their choice, it's not how bad they're behaving, it's their sickness. And it's not someone to be blamed for something they have to live with that people don't understand or even make fun of.
Well, let me just jump in real quickly, Patricia. I just want to let you know we put Sarah in the prayer book, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yes.
So we are incredibly sorry for your loss. Our hearts are breaking. But, you know, Patricia, I don't know how often you listen to the show, but Jerry and I made a commitment long ago that we're not big on labels, because labels, there's stigmas around labels, and there's also judgment and all sorts of things that are going on social media that are very negative. And Jerry and I have always tried to address mental illness as a brain health issue, because there's got to be more education for people out there to remove that stigma, to remove the badgering that happens with people, because you're absolutely spot on. When people are struggling with brain health issues, then they're not wearing a label around their neck, with a shingle saying, hey, I've got a real illness. Please have compassion, have mercy, have understanding, try to get to know me better. Don't just see maybe some of my actions. We have to do a better job at educating people, because I think it's just so tragic that we quickly, sometimes, not everybody, but sometimes people will label and they will dismiss and they will reject. And that's the worst thing we can do to people, because the people want to be accepted. They want to be loved. We all do. We all do. And so we're right with you, Patricia. We take this very seriously. Jerry?
I cannot add a thing to that, Patricia. What do you think about what Debbie was sharing? It really is something that we feel very passionately about here.
Good. I think if we set our intention to love somebody that we have in our lives who is struggling with mental illness, it's a good intention that they can feel that someone really cares about them.
Absolutely.
And it's just the little things that we do that make a huge difference in the way people get through every day when they're suffering tremendously. We can't even comprehend some people's suffering.
Yeah. No, I have a phrase I like to go back to, and it's attributed to various personages. I'll just use the phrase right now, and that is, everyone you meet is engaged in a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always. And having been down the road of depression myself a couple times in my life for about a year each time, and Debbie, I think we can empathize and definitely, it is a very, very serious thing, and it's not. There's no blame to be placed here at all, really, so.
We appreciate what you had to share, Patricia. Thank you so much. And we're, again, sorry for your loss. We've got Sarah in the prayer book. Woody, a first-time caller from Texas, a big fan of Titus. I wish we could have talked about that, because I used to belong to St. Timothy Parish, and we talk a lot about Timothy and Titus with St. Paul. So, I would agree. Jerry?
Well, I want to thank you, Take Two family, for making it another impactful broadcast. You are awesome. And I want to thank the show team today. Screener is Matt, producer Vanessa, social media was Rich. I am Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani. Tomorrow's broadcast is a special one with our special guest, Susan Tassoni. We're going to be talking about the topic of purgatory, often misunderstood, but something we need to know a lot more about. So until then, we want to wish you a beautiful and blessed day. We'll talk to you soon.
What's life coaching? Life coaching has been around for many years, helping people with their relationships, careers, health, and finances. With Stand Tall, it's all Christ-centered. We focus on mind, body, and spirit, taking life coaching to a whole new level. At StandTallToday.com, you can meet one of our experienced life coaches. Today is the day the Lord has made. So begin today with a new path for your life at StandTallToday.com.
Celebrating the precious gift of life.
This is EWTN Radio.
Dr. Ray Garindi brings a fun approach to dealing with problems. The Doctor is next on EWTN Radio.
This is Debbie Georgiani. If you missed part of today's show, catch the encore tonight at midnight Eastern or anytime at EWTN Podcast Central. Visit us at EWTN.com/radio/podcasts.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN Bookmark Brief, speaking with author Father Sebastian Walsh O'Praham about his latest book, St. John the Baptist, Priest, Prophet, and Martyr, and it's available through our EWTN religious catalog. So what's the story with John the Baptist? Why is it important for Catholics to understand today?
Well, the Gospel of John tells us that John came that all might believe through him. So John has a kind of universal role to play for all the faithful, just like the Old Testament has a universal role, so to speak, in preparing us to understand fully, more perfectly, the New Testament.
Father Sebastian Walsh O'Praham, the book St. John the Baptist, Priest, Prophet, and Martyr, again, available through our EWTN religious catalog, EWTNRC.com, again, for all things Catholic. I'm Doug Keck. This has been a Bookmark Brief. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time.
Next time on EWTN Live. Through film, Edward Morse and Dan Daly spread Servant of God Father Flanagan's faith, service, and Boys Town mission, and you're invited for a sneak peek on the next EWTN Live.
EWTN Live with me, Father Mitch Pacwa, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern on EWTN TV and radio.
Hi, we're Greg and Jennifer Willits from RosaryArmy.com.
It's the desire of every parent to bring your family closer together and grow in faith.
From our experience, the Rosary is a powerful tool in transforming family life.
While not always easy, especially when our children were younger, we can now see the fruit of years of praying the Rosary, both individually and as a family.
Praying the Rosary as a family teaches patience, offers a time for healing, and provides a moment to unite under common faith, reflecting on the lives of Jesus and Mary.
It's about more than just recitation. As your family explores the mysteries of the Rosary, teaching perseverance, faith, and divine love, you'll find that the virtues of faith, hope, and charity begin to flourish in your everyday interactions, opening your home to the graces and peace that come from shared prayer.
For guidance on praying the Rosary and to receive a free all-twine knotted rosary, as well as instructions to make, pray, and give them away yourself, visit RosaryArmy.com.
This is Father Christopher Scythe. We could not live without prayer because we cannot live without God, without Jesus. And so we pray so that we can know and experience God's care for us and that we can be an instrument of God's care for others. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving Father, you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, as a vulnerable child in the womb of Mary. In your mercy, look upon our world broken by the sin of abortion, by the pain that this has caused so many. Have mercy on us and renew in us a culture of life, that the lives of the unborn, men and women, may know their great dignity. In Jesus Christ our Lord. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
As we make ready for our Savior's birth, we hope that the miracle of the season stay with you as well as in the coming new year. This is the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Enjoy Call to Communion coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern with Dr. David Anders.
EWTN, helping you prepare your heart for Christ's birth.
From EWTN News Nightly, I'm Veronica Dudo with an EWTN News link. President Trump is headed to Pennsylvania for a rally today where he'll discuss his economic policy and address affordability. He is visiting a swing district, and recent concerns among voters there include the cost of living. Japan has issued a mega-quake warning after being hit by a 7.6 magnitude earthquake yesterday. The earthquake has triggered tsunamis and tremors, injuring at least 34 people. The Vatican hosted a concert for the poor, which is open to 3,000 people in need. The event was headlined by Canadian singer Michael Bublé and marked the first time a pope attended the concert. I'm Veronica Dudo with EWTN News Nightly. Follow us on social media and join us this evening.
The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
You want some bad news, Michael?
No.
What are you asking me?
You're the guru of the gray matter. I figured if anybody had it, you'd have the answer.
I can't give you any direction.
I think I'm going to have to change this channel. I'm sorry.
You're completely wrong.
I refuse to be wrong on 2 calls in a row.
Tell me I'm spot on or tell me I'm crazy as I'll get out.
I have no idea.
I have a 6-month-old, so we'll be raising him according to Dr. Ray.
Talk about being a winner.
So, you want my question?
You ain't making any sense.
You're absolutely right. I just needed confirmation.
So what are you going to do about it, Dawn?
I'm calling you.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
Very glad to be with you. I am back up north last week down at EWTN where it was a blistering 50 degrees. I almost had to put on a sweater. And those Irondale, Birmingham people were in parkas and mittens and stocking caps. Not 1, but 2. Well, I'm back up here in Ohio now where yesterday morning was 12 degrees. Snow on the ground. It hasn't budged. Hasn't budged for about 6 days. It's reminding me of when I was a kid. Remember when you were a kid and the temperature got to be about 25 degrees and there were 3 inches of snow? There was 3 inches of snow, and they canceled school. Remember that? Yeah, neither do I. Anyway, thank you. I'm sitting here in the studio where at the flick of a switch, I can make the temperature anything I want, one of the taken-for-granted givens of our blessings. As I sit in here, and that cold out there is foreign. It doesn't touch me. I'm sitting in here. You ever be grateful for that? You ever be thanking the Lord for, geez, I'm sitting inside in shelter with a temperature that I can make anything I want. We take that as a expected, a given, an automatic in our lives. It isn't. For much of human history, they couldn't do that. Shelter was something you really had to find. You had to make, you had to work on, and you had to hope that the elements outside didn't invade you. But I digress. I got off on a bit of a tangent. Let's get to the meat of the program. This is The Doctor Is In. I am the doctor who is in. Not a real doctor, as my 5-year-old son once said. Dad, can you give shots? No. Then I don't think anybody should call you a doctor. I said, thanks, Andrew. Oh, age 5, he's redirecting my insights and thoughts. The program here is a call-in program. You are the callers. I am the callee, the recipient of your calls. Calls come from various directions. Asking something about a situation in your life. I'm a psychologist. That's where I was this morning. I was at the office. This afternoon, I'll head back to the office after this radio program. But for right now, talk a little bit about what's going on in your life. Situations, circumstances. Now, we're not going to do any therapy. We can't do that. But we can put our heads together, see if we can come up with a thought or two. And much of life is just nudging someone in a different direction or the same direction they're in, just giving them a little more momentum. And that has a radical effect. It changes things dramatically. It does. So maybe we can come up with something here to give you some peace, reduce a little bit of fretting, whether it's a kid or adult relationship, young adult relationship, people who are not acting as you'd like them to act. What are you going to do about that, huh? Or if it's a generic question, something that has always puzzled you about psychology or puzzled you about life, or maybe even puzzled you about faith. I'll give my best. I'll give my best shot at it. Sometimes people call in because they want to help somebody else on the line. That happens a lot, and that's good. That's good. You get extra credit. You get time off of purgatory. Well, you get something off of purgatory. I don't know if it's time because we don't know exactly how time works after this time-bound journey that we are on. So the number is 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. Now, just an item of business here because I always want to congratulate some of our many affiliates, 400 to 500 of them. Sports Faith International, serving Northern Illinois. That could be up there by Chicago. With 2 stations, 12 years on the air in the EWTN network this week. And KYRE 104.1 in Mansfield, Texas. Mansfield, Texas, we have a Mansfield, Ohio here, not about an hour from where I am right now. And they're celebrating 11 years, so congratulations to Angela Tomlinson and her team at Sports Face. Yeah, good, Ray. Good thing you're not getting paid for this. Sports Faith International and Joel Rodriguez and his team at St. Jude Catholic Church, from all of us here at EWTN. Congratulations. Now, this was sent to me by the dear woman who, oh, wait a minute, I got to get out of there. Don't want that. Go over to here. I don't know how to, where's my daughter when I need her to help me with this phone? Okay. Sent to me by Janet Clark. Janet, some of you might know, she has been many times, especially in the northeastern Ohio area, my role play co-actress in the different things we do on Living Right with Dr. Ray. We usually have an informal role play to try to make some point about life or living. So she sent this to me. A recent let me preface this. I was watching a sitcom once, and the parent, when talking to the spouse about her desire for her kids, I want them to be happy. I just want them to be happy. At the time, of course, I can't shut my mouth. I make these comments. Probably drives my wife crazy when I do this. I can't just watch it. I got to make psychological comments. I said, happy. So that's in the priorities here. Happy. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I pay attention, how many of the programs that we watch on TV, in some way or another, if the topic comes up, is a parent saying, I just want my kids to be happy. Well, I have been confirmed. Well, not sacramentally just, not meaning just, not only sacramentally, but in my observation. A recent Pew Center study reports that parents want above all else for their children financial independence and a satisfying job. Okay, that's 1 and 2 now. That is 1 and 2. Graduating from college was a distant third. Getting married and having children of their own, according to this article, I like the way they said this, pulled up the rear for a marginal few. Being moral, finding meaning in life, or practicing a religion did not appear on the list of priorities. Now, how is this relevant? Well, when you compare it to other survey data, which basically says that our young people, the Gen Zers and maybe the millennials, have the highest recorded rates of anxiety and depression of any group since surveyed. The article says, with such external and materialistic aspirations for their children, it is not surprising, though it's a sad irony, that these same parents who said now they want financial independence and a satisfying job first and foremost for their kids, getting married way down, and being moral, finding meaning in life, religion, not even showing up on the radar. It is no surprising, though it's a sad irony, that these same parents reported they are most worried about their children's mental health. This is an interesting suggestion by a psychologist. The guy's name is Darby Saxby. He writes this. Boy, this is really bad for the gentle parenting folk. Quote, parents should ignore their children more often. Now, this makes for a ear-catching phrase, but here's what he means. Not so much the kids should be ignored as being decentered. Oh, by the way, sorry about that, Darby. Darby is female. She argues that today's frantic, child-centered, helicopter parenting is, quote, based on assumptions about what our children need to thrive that are not supported by evidence from most of human history. Until the last few decades, parents practice what she calls, quote, mindful underparenting, end quote. Now, this allows kids to, quote, spend lots of time with their parents, but not usually as the parent's primary focus. Sometimes bored, sometimes engaged. I'm quoting her now. These kids spend much of their time observing adults doing adult things. Now, this is a shocker, and I can see this. She says, quote, your average daycare is probably closer to the average historical childhood experience than today's overstimulated boy or girl at the center of attention. Woohoo! Okay, we should get in trouble with this kind of stuff. Let's see if there's anything else she says. It's okay. They go on to talk about how kids observe us, and we are still the greatest influence. It says here, the good news is that among all possible influence, parents exert far and away the greatest influence on their children's religious outcomes. Well, I'd got to clarify that. I'd like to qualify it. If they so intentionally do, they can exert the greatest possible influence. All right, there you go. There's a lot more she says, but let's leave it at that. And by the way, just as a PS here, my second book was a book called Back to the Family, and we interviewed strong families, all 50 states. We were talking about spending time with your kids, and one mother observed, she said, children need boring time. They need to have time just to look at stuff, not the computer screen, like outside stuff, and curiosity stuff. They need time. I one time said this to a priest from Africa. We were talking about raising kids, and I said a lot of parents hear from their children that I'm bored. He looked at me puzzled. He said, What is that word? I said, bored? He says, yes. I said, well, it means kind of like you don't really have anything to do. And then he said, how could you not have anything to do? They did not have a word in his language, in his tribal language, for boring. Interesting, isn't it? 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL is the number to call to get onto the program. Dr. Ray, thank you for joining me.
Advent is here, and Ave Maria Radio wants to walk beside you every day as we move towards the birth of Jesus. When you visit AveMariaRadio.net, you can join our Advent mission and receive short, powerful, and engaging daily videos that help you enter the mystery of the Incarnation with new clarity and devotion. Go to the slider at AveMariaRadio.net, sign up, and take your place in this joyful journey to the manger.
This program is brought to you by the following nonprofit underwriter.
Are you longing to hear God's voice? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian Prayer Series will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking, and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
Life can be overwhelming, leaving you feeling anxious, alone, or even in despair. That's why the nonprofit Revive app was created, to help you navigate the darkness and discover the light. With Revive, confidential conversations with a certified spiritual companion are always just a tap away. And right now, your first 2 sessions are free. Download the Revive app today. That's REVIV and then the number 3. Let them help you find joy in tomorrow.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Okay, get to your calls here in a second as you are patiently waiting. Had a situation yesterday, kind of shook me up a little bit. I was looking at the paper, and I noticed a story about this beautiful actress who was engaged to this sports figure known for his ridiculous acting out his penchant for fighting, his dumbness. And I said, man, I'll never understand why some of the biggest jerks get the most attractive women. I said that to my wife. And she just smiled at me and said, well, thank you, Ray. Not exactly what I was expecting there. Rob from Pittsburgh. He's a pa. Well, Pittsburgh, PA. Okay, got it. Hey, Rob.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, sir. Doesn't sound like you might not be quite as okay as I am.
Well, yeah, both me and the mother, yeah, in a bad way right now.
How old's your daughter?
27.
27. Is this the first time she's expressed same-sex attraction?
We don't even know that she's expressing it. She's now buddying up with somebody that, is a lesbian, and she's had issues in the past with anxiety. So she's dated boys, on and off, and all good, nothing bad. Went to college. Again, anxiety starts to build up. She gets on the Prozac. I kind of blow up. Don't want her to do this. Want her to seek alternative methods. So it's a big family conflict, but she goes ahead and does the Prozac, goes to college. has some issues with roommates, you know, in and out. Don't like this roommate, don't like that roommate. Goes on to med school, moves to Philadelphia, meets up with, you know, several different people, has a problem with those roommates, moves in with her boyfriend. Again, another fight. Don't like the situation. I told her, listen, why don't you get married if you want to live with this person and you love him? Long story short, she's now a resident. She breaks up with a boyfriend, and she's kind of buddied up with this girl who is obviously a lesbian. She's told us she's a lesbian. Our daughter is more or less really left thinking. We're center right. You know,
well, I'm surprised she hasn't written you off yet.
She does a lot with her mother. It's worse with the mother than it is with me. She kind of has. We talk, but she kind of blamed me early on for a lot of her anxiety, and I said, "Listen, you'll never blame me again. I'm not going to bring anxiety to anybody, especially in her early years of college. We couldn't deal with that.
What she's probably saying, Rob, is that she doesn't like you giving her advice that goes against what she wants to do. So that makes her upset.
Yep.
Well, I would suggest you don't say anything to her. Don't give her any advice. You don't want to hear it.
Well, we've tried that, but now, you know, we're hearing that she's, you know, going out to dinner with this girl. She's, you know, meeting up with other friends with this girl.
Is it safe to say that because she's bounced around in her life contentment, if you were to graph it, it'd just be up and down, spikes and valleys. So now she's looking in a different direction, maybe, for her contentment, and she thinks this same-sex relationship could be the answer. Is it safe to say that?
That's what we're worried about, yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Well, you could ask her about it. You could say, I know you're spending a lot of time with this woman. Does that mean anything regarding your own physical attraction to her? Now, my guess would be, even if you just do it that delicately, you're going to get blasted. Am I wrong?
Agree.
Okay.
No, you're exactly right.
Okay.
That's right.
You could say, if you want, you could say, well, I noticed you've been spending a lot of time with her. What does that mean? Well, she's just a friend, Dad. She's just a friend. She's just somebody I like being with, and she's somebody I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. So, translation, Dad, shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
If you get hit that quickly with defensiveness, then you're pretty smart just to back off. Just to back off, because she's probably looking at this as maybe, and I can't speculate, I don't know what's in her head, but I see it a fair amount, as an answer to her vacillating discontent kind of thing. So, as a result, if you're trying to, quote-unquote, persuade her away from this relationship, you're going to have to get a sense of a little bit how quickly she's going to react with hostility for you even given any kind of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. If you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, don't I have a moral obligation to try to straighten out her thinking? Because she was raised differently than this.
That's exactly
I guess
right.
my answer to that would be you raised her, Rob. You raised her for 20 years. She knows where you stand on this. That's why you were going to get the defensiveness, because she knows where you stand. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of, oh, well, I want to hear what Dad has to say because I know that if I make a good case, he's gonna understand and accept. She doesn't think that. She thinks there is absolutely no way, if this is a same-sex attract relationship, you're going to be pleased at all with it. She knows that. Mm-hmm. So probably the safest angle you or your wife can take is, I know you've been spending a lot of time with her. Does this mean something from a romance perspective? Now, I think there's about a 6% chance you're going to get a fair hearing or an answer. I think there's a heavy chance that you're going to immediately get, what are you saying, Dad? What are you saying, Dad? You're going to tell me I can't do this when I'm 27 years old? I can't do what I want? Or something along those lines. I'm not her exact words, but that's the tone I would think. Now, you know your daughter. Am I wrong?
No, that's right. I mean, I guess she comes back and says, what if there is? Why is it any of your business?
And she's, in a perverse sort of way, she's right. She's 27. If she chooses to live that way and neglect the way she was raised, there isn't much about it you can do now if she doesn't want to let you even offer alternative thoughts on this. There's your problem.
That's not going to sit well with her mother or me.
Well, the problem is, and you said it earlier, you said she gives a lot more hassle to her mother. And that's because I got a feeling mother gives more opinions that aren't asked for, and the daughter doesn't want to hear it. Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
I know, my friend. I know. Sometimes you just have to accept your helplessness. You could take a run at it. Not saying don't, but brace yourself for what you could hear, because it's likely she's not likely. I don't know, but it's possible. She's looking at this as an answer to her anxiety and her emotional problems, whatever they might be. Doctor.
60 Seconds with Father Mitch Pacwa.
Within the people of life and the people for life. That's who we are. The people of life and the people for life. Part of our self-identity. The family has a decisive responsibility. This responsibility flows from its very nature as a community of life and love, founded upon marriage and from its mission to guard, reveal, and communicate love. The family and marriage has a mission to guard love, to protect it from false forms of love, from false uses of people, using people and abusing them. It also is to reveal love and communicate love. This is part of the family's and marriage's purpose. You reveal love to the world. People say, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper. That's baloney. This is you saying to the public, I'm loving my wife and my husband and my children till death do us part.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
How does freedom affect our actions? According to the Catholic Catechism, freedom makes us responsible for every act that we have directly willed. Despite her efforts to place all the blame on the serpent, Eve was directly responsible for initiating and committing original sin. She knew God had forbidden her to eat from the tree of good and evil, yet she did it anyway. Cain deliberately killed his brother Abel. King David deliberately committed both adultery and murder. None of the three were ignorant of the gravity of their acts, and there were no mitigating circumstances that diminished their responsibility. However, David was particularly remorseful when confronted with his guilt. The Catechism tells us that the right to the exercise of freedom, especially in moral and religious matters, is an inalienable requirement for the dignity of the human person. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
There is a component to this. I'll get to your calls here in a second. Thank you for your patience. There is a component here for us parents with our adult children that on probably our primary motive is we certainly care about their souls, and we do not want them to enter a style in their life that could possibly jeopardize their souls. We can't make that judgment, but we're fearing for them. And that's probably the main motive. But motives are not usually uniform. In other words, they're complex. And another motive might be that this child of mine, who is now an adult, has strayed from everything I tried to do to pass on the faith to her. And the fact that that's happening is distressing me terribly. So I've got to find some way to reach them with what they're doing. There's got to be a key. Well, here's something I've learned as a psychologist. If somebody wants to do what they want to do and they are impervious to persuasion and logic and reason and morality and money, in the words of Kenny Rogers and the Gambler, sometimes you got to know when to fold them. All right, let's go to Sarah from New York. Her husband has a AFib, which is atrial fibrillation. That's what it means. And essentially, the heart is not beating regularly. It's fluttering. It's fluttering. And it can dramatically raises the chances of a stroke because a blood clot can form way up there and then be moved all the way out and about. And AFib, much of the time, is very correctable. They will do something called a cardiovert. I am not a doctor, by the way. I just know these things. They will do something called a cardiovert, which essentially zaps the heart back into what they call sinus rhythm, which is regular rhythm. So Sarah's husband, she says he has AFib. It sounds like he had AFib because the doctors say he is now fine. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Yeah, my husband had AFib. He had the cardioversion and ablation. Everything went well. We took him in for a visit about a month ago. He had good results. The heart rate was good. Everything was good. The doctor says, I don't want to see you for like 6 months because he was going regularly for 3 months. But he still complains. Like, he's very anxious now. I've never seen him like this before. He can't handle any paperwork. He gives me all the work that he used to do. He can't, like, we're both retired. He gives me all his paperwork. The slightest pressure freaks him out. Like, when he has to update his credit cards, he calls my son to do it. Like, he can't do anything right now. Like, everything is just, he overburdens me. And he's acting more like a child. Like, today I said something early in the morning. He, like, kind of almost jumped up and down like he was having a temper tantrum. Like, it was weird.
Can I ask how old your husband is?
73.
Okay. Is this the first time he's ever had what he would consider a threatening health problem?
Yes.
So do you think that for him, he is now faced with the reality that he's getting older and things can go wrong? And he's translating that into, I'm just not motivated to do anything because what does it matter?
Yes, because he said I was walking, did power walks every day, twice a day, up until recently, to like a year and a half ago, and now I'm like, I can't do anything. But I said, you're still walking around with no, you're quite quick when you go up and down the steps. And I kind of encouraged him to walk farther around in the neighborhood, and he's doing that, but he's still kind of almost like a cripple, a mental cripple.
Well, I think what you're dealing with, and you can ask him this, Sarah, you can say, are you scared because you think now that's the first sign of impending death? That you thought you were just perfectly fine up to then, and life was going to go on without any kind of hiccup, and now you had a health problem, which, thank God, modern medicine fixed. So in your mind, that's just a sign that you're failing, that you're just, now you're damaged goods. That's what I would say to him. There is a woman, I doggone forget her name. I can't believe this because she's fascinating. There is a guy named Dr. Peter Attia. I think it's spelled Attia. He is a researcher. He's a surgeon. He's an enormously popular podcast, and he talks about lifespan and health span, how to live healthy well into your 70s and 80s, even 90s, and the things it can do. And I listen to him constantly. My wife does. Is very research based. Maybe, I mean, he's got dozens of podcasts. You can search them and you can see which ones he's focused on a healthy lifespan into your 70s and 80s.
Right.
Maybe your husband would listen to this and realize, there are some basic things I can do that can really dramatically improve not only my outlook, but my actual physical abilities. It sounds to me like he's struggling with this whole idea of I'm mortal. Now, I never thought I was mortal before, and now I think I'm mortal. And so why should I mow the lawn? What does it matter? The grass is going to grow anyway.
Right.
That kind of thing. Everything that mattered to him in leading his life is now useless because it's all going to come to an end anyway. I mean, that's kind of the fatalistic attitude he's taken. If you want to get him to a psychologist, because that was your question here, if you can get him to do it, but I don't know if he would.
Well, he is talking once a week to a licensed social worker, and whenever he talks to him, he's been talking to him for like a year and a half now, a little over a year, I would say, a year and 4 months. He seems like he's a little better that day, but then he goes back again the next day, like so quickly.
Mm-hmm. And that's the secret to therapy. That's the secret to therapy, Sarah. You could talk forever to somebody, and if you don't translate what you're talking about in that office out into the real world, well, you could stay there for 20 years. So what?
Right.
So it seems like
he's not really making
he's not making the effort. He's locked into this. And maybe you could approach it from the angle of, hey, I'm your wife, and for all of our lives, I've looked up to you and leaned on you as my rock, and I still want to do that.
Right.
I'm sorry to hear this. Go ahead, dear.
Right, and you mentioned this Dr. Peter Attia, Attia. He has current podcasts, or is this like old recorded podcasts?
No, he's very currently podcasting. Just enormous range of stuff on health, well-being, diagnoses. Oh, yeah, just a lot of stuff. Heart health, everything. Sure. It's good stuff. Thank you for the call, Sarah. And those of you waiting patiently, thank you. Oh, man, I got some good stuff up there, and I want to get to you right away quick. I'm going to probably save you from a birthday party there, Judy.
Steve and Janet Ray here, announcing our pilgrimage to charming Ireland and its rich Catholic heritage. The shrines are nestled in the quaint Emerald Isle. Lovely people, marvelous food, sweeping vistas. Everyone's favorite is Mass at Our Lady of Knock and its Eucharistic apparition. We hope you can join us in August, along with our Irish chaplain, Father James Conlon.
To learn more about your Ave Maria Radio trip, find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
Christ is the answer, with Father John Riccardo.
John 14. This is Jesus in the upper room with the disciples before he's going out to his sacrifice of himself for our salvation. And Philip says to the Lord, "Show us the Father, and we'll be satisfied." Jesus looks at Philip and says, "Philip, have I been with you all this time? Don't you understand? When you see me, you're looking at the Father." In fact, only two people throughout human history have given rise to the question, not who is he, but what is he? The two people are Buddha and Jesus. Buddha's answer was, don't come to me, don't look to me, look to my doctrine, look to what I teach. Jesus' answer was, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart. Jesus is explicitly claiming to be God.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Have you ever been so grief-stricken and so heart-sick that you can't see God? You can't see God in the tragedy. You can't see God in that cross. You can't see God in that sick. Why? You're enveloped in that grief. You're enveloped in fear. And God is out the window. You don't see him standing right next to you.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
You know, in the old days, when you wanted to ignore somebody, they didn't even know you were ignoring them unless they came in contact with you, right? I'm not talking to my sister. Does she know that? Well, she will the next time we have a chance to come in contact. Nowadays, man, you can block anybody at any time. You simply say, I blocked them. There. Shut them off. And they know it immediately, or at least until they connect with you on the internet. I noticed that. Back in the old days, ignoring somebody took a lot more effort. It's easy now. I just push this little button there, and you're gone from my life. Hi, Judy. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm fine, honey. I'm going to probably save you some money.
No, I don't need anything like that. I just wanted an opinion from you.
Well, my opinion will probably save you the money.
I have to kind of start when I was little. I was 2 years old and I had bilateral hip replacement, and my sister was like 3 years older, and because of that I was in the hospital for 9 months, and then when I got home everybody had to kind of take care of me. So anyways, I think my sister developed some kind of a selfish image because everybody in my family doesn't even really like talking to her. But I want to call her because I think I understand what her problem is. But anyways, now
she isn't gonna like that you think you understand what her problem is. Just know that.
I don't tell her that. No.
Okay, good. You're smart.
And so now she has a problem with her kids. Well, she was not having a problem with her oldest daughter, and now the father, they separated or got a divorce, and the younger one is taking care of the father. So she didn't want to have anything to do with her. And yet I don't have a problem with her. She's really a sweetheart. Okay. And anyways, I didn't tell her I was going to a wine tasting contest, but they took a picture and my sister saw it and yelled at me because I went. So now, Thanksgiving, I did tell her. I said, I'm going to Sarah's for Thanksgiving. That's
did it. You did it, Judy. How dare you like somebody she's not talking to?